All right, good work on that poem. Now we're going to transition into the discussion question. We're going to look at Death of a Salesman. My question to you is, this play is a tragedy. What character do you think is the most tragic?
Well, I know that it would be the most typical answer, the most traditional answer, uh, but I still feel like it is the correct answer, which is Willie Loman. I guess you could say the protagonist of this play. We are focused on him the entire time, as well as the Loman family. And the reason I say that his story is the most tragic is because if the audience pays attention, you can see that Willie really does a lot of the things he does through because of the love that he has for his family. It's just that the American dream and his version of reality has warped him to the point where every time he's trying to help, he actually hurts. Um, I think a perfect example is just looking at the relationships of Willie between Willie and the other members of the family. We see really early on in the play that Willie and Biff have an antagonistic relationship, that they clearly do not get along. They can barely be in a room for more than a couple of minutes before something going horribly wrong. And if you focus and you pay attention and you look at the dialogue, you can see that yes, while Willie is being antagonistic and is attacking Biff and his choices and why he's doing those things, you can see that he's doing this from a place of love because all he wants is for his child to be successful. And I think if you talk to most parents, about what they want for their children, success is going to be one of those number one things. Now, where the difficulty comes from is defining what is success. And because Willie has bought so hard into this traditional concept of what the American dream is and how to achieve it and what is success, a nice car, a nice job, a nice house, the luxuries of stability. And every time he sees Biff not doing those things, I believe that it breaks Willie's heart because he sees not only is Biff failing, but he has failed his son. And so every time they have an interaction, whether it's in one of the first parts of the play where they're having a discussion and it already erupts, then Biff and Happy try and create this business venture, and it makes Willie so excited. He's so excited because he thinks that his sons are finally going to achieve that traditional American success, and that he will not have failed his family. And then yet again, the whole plan breaks apart. Nothing works out. It turns out the business venture and who Biff used to know and the connections that they thought they had are completely non-existent. And you could see that it really breaks Willie. That, with the addition of Howard firing him, is enough to send Willie over the edge. And I think, so you see a lot of that. And then, at the end of the play, where, as we know, Willie commits suicide, even that act, the act of committing suicide, is an attempt to help his family. Because he's not just committing suicide because he's tired of life. He's committing suicide so that his family can get the insurance money so that Biff can finally achieve that success. Well, if he only has, the insurance money to start up his company, his program, whatever it is, then he'll be successful, and I will not have failed my children, and I can die of success. And so Willie's alternate version of reality leads to his own destruction, because in real life, or at least what Miller wants us to understand in real life, is that that his family would much rather him be alive than him be dead and have the life insurance money. You, the audience, know that. The family, we can see it in them. The only person who doesn't know this is Willie. And so, because he has bought into the American dream for so long, and he thinks that he knows what it means to be successful and what it means to be happy, all those things tied to that, again, that traditional idea of the American dream, that he destroys himself in a way that he thinks he's being successful, but the audience knows he's not. And I can't think of a more symbolic form of modern tragedy than a person destroying themselves because what they think reality is and what is the actual reality understood by the audience are two different things. And so we feel that anger, or maybe not anger, but that stress or that sadness as the audience, knowing we can't do anything about the choices that he's making.
Good points. All right. So, what qualities do you think makes this character so tragic?
Like I said before, I think it really is the alternate version of reality that he has invested himself in. He thinks that he's more important at his business than he is. And then when he actually is forced to accept the reality, which is that the business does not care about him, and that Howard does not care about him, that is a heavy blow that leads him to have a mental collapse. He literally, breaks mentally and goes back to a moment where he was taking Biff to his regional final football game, and that he was going to score the winning touchdown. His mind goes back to a place where he thought he was achieving the American dream, because clearly in the present he is not. I would also say that it is the alternate reality that he is invested in, but really just a false belief system. That the American dream is for everybody who works hard. If you work hard enough, you can get what you want. If you work hard, you will be successful. And he buys in so hard that when he looks around and sees that he has a very average house, a broken down refrigerator, 2 kids who still haven't made any success, and a wife who still has to work every single day to hold the bare minimums of that house together, he looks around and sees his failure. And the fact that that failure doesn't match with the American dream makes it so frustrating to him. That makes him, have these mental relapses and make these destructive decisions.
All right. What do you think Miller is trying to prove through this character's tragic story arc?
I think he's just really trying to prove to a sentiment that still exists quite a bit today in our modern society, but definitely was very popular in the 1950s with the boom of the American middle class. This idea that the American dream needs to be reevaluated. Because if you believe in the basic traditional tenets of the American dream, that everybody has the opportunity to be successful, that if you work hard, you will earn success, and you will get promotions, and you will become successful, and then that success will bring you happiness, he wants to point out that all those things aren't true. Because we have a man who is willing to buy into the system completely. It is his church, it is his religion. The American dream is everything that he believes in. And he works so hard to the point where he's driving, he's drifting off the road, he's so tired. He's in his 60s and he's never stopped trying to achieve it. And yet he has, in every definition of the word failed. He has failed his family, he has failed himself, he has failed in his business adventures, he has, and he is not in any definition of the word successful. And his diluted concept of success and his alternate reality where he thinks all these people think so highly of him, it just isn't true. And Miller is saying that this man who believes so hard in this system failed, and he failed in a realistic way. It's not like, he tried to invent a jetpack and it didn't work. It wasn't ridiculous. It was, he tried to achieve something realistic to be a salesman. He failed, and therefore we should see that maybe the American dream needs to be reevaluated.
All right. I think we're done here. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.